Ta2squid Podcast, WATP.
Here we go. We're going to do the Q&A. Oh, I gotta say this, though. He wraps up his show with the squeegee bit.
Okay.
I saw this on Uncle Rico. And there's no mic stand because it's not a comedy club. So in order to do his bit, he needs both of his hands. He has a guy come up and hold the microphone for him as he does his squeegee bit. So imagine how awkward that bit is to begin with. Yeah. And then you have a guy standing next to you very closely holding a microphone. You're talking about jerking off onto your stomach. John's whole set was all jokes we've already heard before. It was so bad. And everything's so dated now. There's so many references to Kanye that there's so much has happened since then. He's still talking about like Taylor Swift and Kanye. Like, dude, there's so much has happened since then. You got to update your shit a little bit. Like, talk about the Jews a little bit so that we know that you're still paying attention to the world. It's fucking crazy. All right. Now the Q&A starts. And the owner is the person who's doing this Q&A. He's the super fan of Stuttering John. He starts off, he wants to know how many people have seen the movie Private Parts. Again, the movie that John does a 3-second scene in after the credits.
After the credits, yeah.
Yeah. But you can tell that these are big Howard Stern fans out there in Iowa.
How many of you out there saw the Private Parts movie? So...
2. The answer is 2 people saw Private Parts who are at this show. All right. So now John's going to tell us the first joke he ever wrote for Howard Stern. And I want you to notice how he slips in that he was a writer on the Howard Stern show. I'd be willing to bet nobody else would say that except for John. If we asked Gary Delabate or Jackie the Joke Man or any of those people that he worked with, Grillo, I don't think anyone would tell you that John was a staff writer.
One of the first jokes I wrote to Howard, one of the first jokes that I wrote for Howard, because I wrote there, was that when Gary was a kid, he was the only kid whose tooth fairy showed up with a wheelbarrow.
Because Gary has big teeth, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still good. It's still good. He still got it.
He still got it. I love that he remembers that he wrote, that was one of the first jokes he wrote for Howard Stern. Pretty good one. Now, apparently, John and James, the owner of this club, have been hanging out the last couple of days. So he's going to set up John for questions that John wants to talk about. I don't understand the obsession with salary. I don't know why that's a discussion. Typically, when you talk to celebrities, one of the things you don't ask is, how much money did you get paid to do that movie? You know, it's like, that's not a thing that people are interested in. But with John, for some reason, they are.
Now, we all know the financial struggles you had at WXRK, 40,000, you know, we heard it all on the radio today. But tell everybody, when you got to be the announcer, you finally got that payday. What was the annual salary for the Jay Leno announcer job? I don't know. Let's just say I was making, I don't know, $400,000 a year. Yeah. You had a question over here.
Doug, comments.
So it's painfully obvious that he was given a list of things. Okay, you need to ask me this question.
Yep.
And then you need, I have to assume that John was sleeping on this guy's couch in preparation the 2 or 3 days before the show.
Yep.
And he said, I need you to ask me how much I was making when I was the announcer for the Tonight Show.
And do you notice how he was put off by the question? So now he's like, gotta ask me that. And then he's like, oh, God, I don't, who's keeping track? Oh, 400,000? Like, dude, you would fucking know if it was 300,000 or 400,000. That's a big difference. That's a very big difference, right? I don't know. It could have been 250, could have been 500. I don't know. Whatever. As if John doesn't obsess over money all the time. Now he's trying to play it off.
If I was to say your last year as full-time marketing, Carl, how much did you pull down a year? You'd say, it's none of your fucking business,
no
asshole.
Shit. Yeah, no kidding. Instead, he's got to like throw out a number. All right. So now we go to the crowd questions. And this is kind of funny because John, at this point, he's done his whole stand-up set. He feels like his obligation is done. He is so put off by this whole thing. He's like, can this just be fucking over now?
He asked what the best and worst interview was. And before you go, if you guys don't follow Stuttering John, that was his job, was to go around to the red carpets and do interviews. I already told him all that. I wasn't here for that. You were right there, you fucking He thinks I have like this large head size. He's got a head bigger than Jay Leno. I don't think it's that big.
So they never get back to that question. John just dismisses it. What was your best and worst interviews with celebrities when you were on the Howard Stern show? I already fucking talked about that, asshole. Jesus, John. Maybe reiterated that. I don't know.
Where was this club at in Iowa?
Cedar Rapids.
Okay, I'm familiar.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Double J? It's a potato bar.
So I have spent time in Cedar Rapids, and it does not surprise me at all that nobody there gives a fuck about John, and that's the place that he would end up getting booked.
Yeah. Yeah, the story checks out. I happen to, well, I shouldn't say I know anything. I've been told what the deal was to bring John out to Iowa for this long weekend to perform 2 shows that were both free to get into and do these radio appearances. The owner of this place paid for his flights and gave him $350. That's how much it costs to get John away from his family, his kids, his loved ones on Thanksgiving weekend. $350. I'm sure there's free Coors in there though too. It's not just the money. Yeah, there's probably other perks. Probably unlimited chives at this potato bar. I don't know how that works. All right, so then
you're gonna have to pay for the potato, but you can have all the fixings that you want.
Right. I didn't say anything about sour cream, asshole. Get your fucking spoon out of there. All right, so then John's talking about Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf, who we all know and love as a whack packer on the Howard Stern show. He died young. He was an alcoholic. Remember that John at MSCS Media didn't think you could die from alcohol. He questioned Tommy when they're like, no one dies from alcohol. But apparently, at a certain point in his life, John knew this and tried to warn Hank.
He was on his second bottle of vodka, because we would do appearances sometimes, and I go, Hank, because he's a dwarf. I would say, dude, stop drinking, you're going to kill yourself. He goes, fuck you, what about you? You drink, you're going to die too. So that was that's the best I can come up with.
That's his best anecdote of Hank.
That's pathetic.
Yeah. I told him to stop drinking so much he's going to die. And he said, fuck you, you drink too. All right, next. Yeah. Next question. So this is the last question. And John is so put off by this that he just immediately dismisses this and ends the show.
If you could do it all over, and we'll wrap this up, if you could do it all over again, would you have stayed with the Stern show if you could go back in time, or go to the Tonight Show like you did?
Well, if I stayed on the Stern show, it meant I didn't have to endure this Q&A. I think I would have stayed.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Stuttering John Melendez.
What an asshole. What an ungrateful prick he is. He really treats everyone like shit who's nice to him. Seems to be working for him, though.
We laughed our asses off.
Who are